So, hi to you and welcome to this live discussion of Fulgrim. I read Fulgrim and I'm super impressed. Yes, I am. It's a very big book and we have a lot to talk about. I'm probably gonna miss something, but I'm gonna try to touch upon the most important things that made huge impression on me in the whole story of Fulgrim and what happened, and yeah, all of that. So, I want to first say welcome to everybody in the chat. So, hi to dear Clayton, Jake, you made it, dear Ivy, Dark, hi to you. So, very happy that you're here, guys. So, I already started the next book, and the next book is awesome. The first heretic so far, the story about Logar and how he was humbled by the Emperor. So, I finally will get to experience that firsthand. Thanks to dear Clayton, who gifted me the book. Just amazing surprise gift today, because I realized it's one of the books that I actually don't have, and I thought that I had it, but I searched everywhere and turns out that nope, I didn't. So thank you, dear Clayton, for this amazing gift. So guys, Fulgrim, oh my gosh. So as the beginning of the book, I'm gonna start, to cover it like from the beginning and some key points that really I assimilated a bit later, but then, everything kind of made all the sense and came together. So, compared to the other books, this book started in the way that I really didn't particularly connect to, and I wasn't that impressed because, it started talking about these two people of art and how they create and do things that Fulgrim really admires. So that gave us actually a bit of a outside perspective about Fulgrim and how he is as a Primarch, how everybody else views him, how he is appreciative of art, and he is a really big prima donna. Basically, he's like, no, well, this is, I mean, this is how the guy that narrates all the books, that is how he read and he acted, so to speak. How Fulgrim is supposed to talk, which is very amusing with his higher pitch voice. Yeah, thank you, Clayton. And yeah, that was amusing. So I guess from the beginning it was just a bit of a getting used to the style of the book, but then everything just became like perfectly clear, just like the flight of the Eisenstein and the style of writing, all of that. I connected to that. Okay. Next, it was, for me as somebody that draws, paints, that views sculptures, I mean, a person of art in general, it was very interesting to um, uh, just to see how those two people created things, how they view art, how Fulgrim view art, and that's very actually building up his character, because you get to see that he is someone that has a lot of potential with him, but he does not know how to tap into that potential, and he is basically he wants very hard to achieve great things and to be able to sculpt to create things like these other well, not only the creators, but one particular guy, I forgot his name, Austen, I think. And he just admires his work, but at the same time he's so freaking arrogant that he's like, well, this is just a human. And he decided to ask him, well, what do you think about my work, Austin, and what is the thing that it's missing? And Austin was very, about to pee himself, basically, because this Primarch is talking to him and he's asking him if his own work is good, and Austin has to put some kind of a assessment on it, and he's so nervous. And when he's actually gathers the courage to tell Fulgrim what is missing, then Fulgrim, although he assures Austin that everything's gonna be okay, he could be honest with him, he snaps right in this moment and is like, Well, Austin, what do you know? This kind of a once again arrogant attitude. So those are very interesting moments between that part of the art that is described in the book. The other is the music, of course, which is connected more later on, and it just paints a picture of Fulgrim. So basically, Fulgrim is this guy that thinks that he is perfect, and although I mean a lot of his brothers actually also see him as this perfect being, but perfect is more like the physical manifestation of him. Well, he has high standards, of course, in terms of his strategies and how his legion fights. All of the emperor's children just think very highly of themselves, and they even discuss very interesting strategies, battle strategies with the Iron Legion, with Ferrus Manus. That's also very fascinating because we get to see so much from Ferrus Manus and how he thinks, and he is a lot more primal and a lot more how to say this, well, he's more like a man, if I can like describe him this way. He's like the typical warrior that doesn't like to wait, doesn't like to um well, he's just more direct, while the emperor's children and Fulgrim, they're more strategic, a bit more patient, and a bit more like methodical. Yeah, methodical is the word. So that's also just those key differences, they're just so interesting to me, and I have not forgotten for my top 10 um Astartes legions. So that is very amazing to me, because I'm getting to learn from firsthand about how the legions think and operate. And like I said before, when I make my top 10 Astartes legions, I'm gonna base my top 10 of all the legions while they were still loyal. So not after some of them turned traitor, but in their original form. So those books that I'm getting through now are kind of key to understand better the legions and what makes them different, how they connect to their Primarch. Yeah, basically, the Primarch determines the legion and their style and their ways and all of that. But yeah, those books just give me a very closer look. So that's a thing. Survival of the fittest. Well, yeah, he's more like that, Ferris. So yeah, Ferris is honorable guy. He is stern, he is strong, he is very honorable and competitive. Direct, but in the same time, he is well, proud, loyal. Well, like I said, he's like very typical type of a warrior, but in a good way. In a good way. But let's talk about Fulgrim, because he's just like so many things could be said about Fulgrim. So it's really just you really have to listen like carefully, each and every word of Fulgrim and everything that is explained about his actions, how he walks, his mannerisms. Everything is just very specific, and it paints just a great image of him. I mean, very clear image of him. So a lot of things. I'm trying to bring them all in my head, but okay. So first, when we go to the part where he started to fall from grace, when he found this blade of the Laer, he was attracted to it, and it was described, this atmosphere in the temple, how it was already so strange but tempting in the same time, like an energy that pulls everybody, that fascinates everybody, that makes them feel very strange and like pleasure almost, sensations that they never felt before. But we have to, before I get to this book, I mean, some of you guys said, well, there was this weapon and he got it and he got corrupted by it. And that is true. But now that I got firsthand on the book, I can say that, well, he just, I mean, it's obvious that if Fulgrim didn't have the potential for this to happen to him, this would never happen to him. He was led by the Slaanesh demon even before that. So he was led to the blade. He took the blade in which this entity was resigning, but that doesn't mean that this entity is like confined to the blade, and that doesn't mean the Slaanesh cannot tempt him out in other ways. A lot of events were set in motion before he got to the temple, before he fought the Laer and all of those things. Within himself, he was absolutely open to this kind of a temptation. He was just perfect for corruption, because although within his heart he had true love for the emperor, even, well, you could say that he loved really the emperor to such an extent that, I mean, that is one of the things that, you know, unfortunately made him vulnerable, because he had this idea of the emperor in his head, that he is this perfect being and he has a perfect plan for the universe, and the Primarchs are these perfect beings that the emperor created in his perfect image, and they are conquering the universe in his name, but also for their own glory. And then Horus was like, oh no, the emperor actually wants to become a god and he wants to take all the glory for himself, and we are here like idiots, you know, conquering the galaxy for him, but we are the actual guys that are doing the work. That is what Horus said. And so the whole world of Horus or Fulgrim just fell apart. But that's just one aspect of his character that made him really vulnerable to this, this outside interference and corruption. He is arrogant. He is very arrogant, like beyond words. I mean, okay, he is a Primarch. He has talents. He has standards, which are very important because his strategies and his legion, they're really effective and they do what they're supposed to do. You know, they're one of the best legions. So they have a ground to stand on when it comes to self-esteem. You know, it's not like they don't have base for their, for their achievements. On the contrary, they do. But that doesn't mean that you have to be arrogant and unwise and act like a child, because he did act like a child like the whole time. Whatever topic there were, he was not honest with himself. You know, he was not honest to Austin when he asked him about his art. Austin just honestly trembling, the poor guy, explained to Fulgrim what was the issue, that you have to put something in yourself, a part of yourself goes into your work, into the art that you create, and that is what gives the art soul. You know, that is what gives this piece of whatever it is, a painting or a sculpture, that is what gives it its character, and you feel that there's something behind this creation when you look at it. You know, it's filled with something. So literally a part of the soul of every artist goes into their creations. And Fulgrim just didn't take that criticism. I mean, that was literally just constructive criticism. And Austin had the best intentions, like the best intentions. Just poor Austin, by the way. I mean, his story in this book is tragic as it is. And that's also interesting. I don't want to be like all over the place, but the human side of the story is also interesting, because you see his friend that she's also a great artist, but she doesn't realize it, so she beats herself up and she goes through horrible lengths to achieve some kind of a art satisfaction, which she never does. She just goes crazy and murders people. I mean, she was touched by Slaanesh a lot as well. And it's a cautionary tale. It's a parallel between the Primarch and the humans, and you can see that they're both vulnerable the same way. They're both exposed in the same capacity to this outside. I'm just, I don't know why this word escapes me right now, but outside influence, yes. outside the influence of Slaanesh in this case. And in general, when somebody is out of balance in his character, he is open to all kinds of influences, and that is not just that just goes for everything, in general. And you can see how many flaws. I mean, for someone that's actually a very interesting irony that for someone that thinks that he's so perfect, Fulgrim actually has one of the biggest flaws out of all the Primarchs, because he is one of the most arrogant, self-centered, just in love with himself, to such an extent that he just cannot take anything that's objective as an opinion or anything like that. He always tries to just do things the way that he thinks that he must do, but he doesn't accept that those things that he's doing or thinking are not actually perfect, and they're very flawed. I mean, he almost was about to kill his apothecary that suggested that maybe, just maybe, the Emperor's Astartes are not that perfect, so maybe we should improve the gene seed, at the beginning. I don't know what is this here, it's tickling me. At the beginning of the book, when they kill all the Laer, like, poor Laer, Jesus. And, the apothecary examines one of the bodies, and he discovers that actually we're not so different than them, and we have some similarities in terms of our physiology. And then the light bulb just blinks in this guy's mind. He's like, well, Lord Fulgrim, I think that there's something that we can improve with our Astartes and just make them better, because the Lair did this, and it seems that one part of their breed are warriors, one part are this and that, and they're obviously created genetically so they can serve a different purpose. And that is just very interesting. I mean, their race is structured in this functional, practical way. And Fulgrim also, I mean, almost was about to kill him because he was outraged. No, how can the Astartes, they're perfect because our father is perfect, and I'm like, okay, but don't you think that the Astartes are not perfect? Because first, you are above them. You are also a warrior that is stronger than them. So obviously, they're not perfect. There's something better than them, which is you. And then there's something that's better than you, which is the Emperor. So if they're not like the Emperor, and he is not perfect, but let's say that he is. So even if they were 100% just like the Emperor, like everybody, the Primarchs, the Astartes, they're still not perfect, but I mean, they're not even that. So how can he even think logically that they are perfect, when obviously they're not? So he was just like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Just immediately getting pissed off at everything, everything that. I mean, that is absolutely literally like if you tell a kid that his favorite team is actually not the best in the world because there's some other team that just beat it or something, and that kid would be pulling his hair out and running in circles and screaming for like 30 minutes, let's say. It's not necessary, but there's kids like that. So basically, yeah, Fulgrim reacts to everything like, wow, so aggressive, so out of line, so unreasonable, just doesn't put a thought in anything. He thinks that he does. He just, he gives himself like a credit that he's like so smart, but he's not thinking at all about anything. He's just like blah 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 blah, screaming to everybody's faces. So first, very immature, which we already established that that's a trait in a lot of the Primarchs, in some kind of a capacity. They're all immature in some way, But he is one of those guys that just blows everybody. I mean, screams in everybody's faces. Even though if they're right, it doesn't matter. He's just still gonna scream. Okay, so we got the potential of corruption down, that he is already opening himself to be corrupted without even realizing it. And then when he got finally the blade, it was just so easy for him to be influenced by that, because he already had these how's the word for that, damn it, like not only the potential for that within him, but yes, he did had the seeds within him to be tempted by such things. And evil works in these ways. It tells you what you want to hear, what you already were curious about, that you're drawn to something that's not good, but you're curious, and that curiosity is your guilty pleasure that you're not even admitting to yourself that you want. But of course, this is very transparent to the evil force. So the evil force just tells you everything that you want to hear, and just pulls you more into that direction. Just pulls you more, and you're getting used to it, and used to it. The more you're pulled in that direction, and all of a sudden you just accept it, and that becomes a part of you before you even know it. So the blade was the natural continuation of what was already happening within Fulgrim. So my um, initial conclusion that I reached when I studied the Primarchs, but without yet getting to each and every one through the books, was exactly right. That they all had, the traitor Primarchs, they all had something that led to the betrayal before they were corrupted. They all had potential within them. They had the traits for this. There was a lot of holes with their personality, a lot of flaws that were open, ready to be exploited. They were, and they became traitors. So it was not really hard, because already, they had it. They had the drivers installed, metaphorically speaking, in themselves. Now, I see you there, Beta, by the way, but you know how I can lose my train of thought, so this is like a video. So yeah, I'm trying to finish my thought, and then I'm gonna look at your comments. And so yeah, the blade was to top it all off. And then, of course, the Legion was corrupted. They had the same weaknesses as their Primarch. They're his sons. They have his traits to a very big extent, and that goes for the strengths and the weaknesses of his character. So you can see that. And let's not talk about Lucius, because he is horrible, that guy. You can see right away that he's gonna become the biggest horrible ass demon ever. When you read about about him with this book and with the Flight of the Einstein, just hated his guts there, and I don't hate his guts less in this book as well. Hate is a strong word, just resentment, a dislike, you can say. Yeah, so then of course we see the interaction with him and Ferrus Manus, and you see that they're both brothers, like brothers. They really respect each other. They forge weapons together. They fought side by side, I think, at one point, and they're really brothers, as brotherly brothers could be. So with that bond, you also see the good side of Fulgrim, which we're gonna get to when we get to the end, about what happened with him. But the point is, he does have a good side. It's not like he doesn't. He does have some things that he honors. So he's actually very sensitive. At the end of the day, he's very sensitive. That is maybe one of the things that make him so emotional and super childish. And he is not nurturing his eye. His eye means his personality and individuality that much, as a thinker, as a intellectual individual. But he is nurturing his emotions and his passions and his feelings a lot more. He is not developed in the terms of wisdom and wisdom that is connected to the eye of a person, and that is just the way that I can, separate the two. So I can explain, what is the difference if somebody is nurturing their emotions, and if somebody is nurturing their intellect and personality, which is basically not only the intellect, but also it is all the qualities that make somebody an individual, but not the emotion part. I mean, the emotion, yeah, of course, that is a part of the individual, but the point is that there is a higher sense of being, a lesser sense, a lesser aspect of a being. Let's call it that way. For instance, for children, they don't have the personality developed just yet. Who they are as a person exactly, they don't have that developed, and they rely a lot more on their emotions, feelings, and that's why they're a bomb of all kinds of I want things, like I want this, I want that, I'm feeling sad, I cry now, I laugh now, there are a lot of emotions in kids. But when we grow up, we become a lot more composed, we think more, well, hopefully, uh, and with age or just with knowledge, we get more wise and we become more of the person that we are supposed to be. And that is the I development, where if you are left in the emotional state, and if you don't actually work towards your I and that wisdom aspect, you're gonna become just like, you're gonna be left in that state where Fulgrim is, where you don't actually, you can't take any criticism and you're just lashing out at it and everything. So that is the bad qualities, the flaws that he has to iron out, that he has to count on wisdom. And we can see throughout this book that he actually achieves a bit of wisdom and self-realization, but unfortunately is very, very late. And that is what it makes it so devastating and sad to observe what is happening to him, because you see that he is such a, he could be such a gem, he could be such a gem, such an amazing son of the emperor. He could be so many things, but he chose to be emotional and crazy and to get to that excess, to the point of the to the Slaanesh point, and that just is out of control. That control portion, that reason and wisdom, that is what is missing, and that is why he fell off, so to speak. When you don't have nobody at the wheel, basically, and you leave everything to chaos and to emotion is basically chaos if it's not controlled. That's what happened. Okay, so I'm trying to get to kind of the meat of things, but also to provide some kind of a context of how I am, breaking down what happens to Fulgrim and how chaos, in this case Slaanesh, works. So, okay. So yeah, the interaction between him and Ferris, like I've said, this is where we saw his good side and what he cares about, what he values. He values a lot of art, but that is also kind of an irony. Again, that's very interesting actually, because he values art. Art is one of the highest expression of creation, because it is creation itself. It's something that, if you have the creative forces, you create something that is higher than just, well, a lot of other forces, basically. The force to create is the opposite of the forces to destroy. But at the end of the day, he fell into the forces to destroy, which is really, really sad. So his whole image is like a big contradiction and a big irony, but that is what happens where you try to fake perfection. That is what he tried. He tried to fake perfection. It's not only enough, to be the son of the emperor. You also have to prove yourself. And yes, he does have the intelligence, but he doesn't have the wisdom to get a hold of himself and those emotions and all of those things. So that is where, a lot of people can confuse intelligence with wisdom. Intelligence can lead to wisdom, but is not wisdom. Wisdom is the next step. And with a lot of the Primarchs, that is the thing that is missing. They have intelligence, they can strategize, they can think practically, let's say. But when it comes to wisdom, they all just drop the ball, emotions fly, and everybody just gets killed. Yeah. So, So next, basically, I want to get to how, yeah, to the next point where he met the Eldar, which is awesome. The craft world, the Eldar, this awesome wise guy that literally just said so many key things to Fulgrim. He was honest, he was direct, he was, look, Fulgrim, this gonna happen, this is gonna happen, Horus is gonna betray your father, and he's already downhill. Fulgrim, of course, is like, no, I can't believe this. No, I mean, I understand how the Primarchs are gonna be very absolutely shocked and will not want to hear that their brother could fall to chaos. But at this point, Fulgrim was already pretty down under himself, and he was in denial that he is in this state. Firstly, so he is in denial. I mean, he's going downhill, but he's in denial. And then when this super wise Eldar actually tells him how it is, and even he told him, I think, a lot of things that just make so much sense. But Fulgrim, again, with his arrogance, extreme pompous, head in his ass behavior, of course, made everything worse. And then he proved his point, the Eldar's point, with his attack, and he's brutally murdering the Eldar and defeating this Eldar creature that was like a god, all of those things, the massacre that just followed. It was very vividly described, I must say. But yeah, the point is that Fulgrim just absolutely proved everything that the Eldar was thinking about humans. Unfortunately, the monkey that probably gonna destroy themselves. There's a big chance that maybe they're not gonna destroy themselves, but um, I mean, they did say that, which is very interesting because it is opening something, it is opening in the 40K universe that whatever the books may lead, the story, the lore overall, maybe there's a chance something very interesting to happen, and maybe we're not gonna destroy ourselves. Well, we'll see, but that's interesting, that what the Eldar said. So it's just very sad that Fulgrim already fell, and the Eldar guy was like, oh, he's already gone. And I was like, well, how can you not see this? How can you not see this? And well, the blade was also hidden. I mean, it hid itself with its powers from this guy's view. Although he was very sensitive to these things, but somehow the blade was able to hit itself. Anyway, the point is that yeah, one of those examples that Fulgrim had a perfect example. I mean, directly information related to him, but he once again, because of his arrogance, destroyed everything. And then he doesn't realize, I mean, he didn't realize that he proved the Eldar's point by doing all those horrible, horrible things that basically were because of the blade, and the blade was influencing him this whole time. And actually, he did see Slaanesh manifest in that moment. I think somewhere it was at the end of the fight, I think. Okay, I have to listen to that moment, but yeah, that was a key moment. But anyway, and then, I mean, he was still like in his ass, and then Horus had to directly tell him in the face that, yeah, I am betraying our dad. Yeah, I'm going against him, and you should come with me, Fulgrim. And Fulgrim was still like, what are you saying? What are you saying, my brother? Excuse me, Fulgrim, you already crushed the, I don't know if such an expression in English, but you smashed the onions. That's a Bulgarian for you screwed it up. You blew it already, and you didn't realize what you were doing. That you're already, just too far gone. So you're not like you're wondering at what Horus is saying. I mean, in that moment, he shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I was so stupid. I was just so into my ass. I should have listened to this Eldar guy. I mean, he was kind of like that, but he was still not accepting it fully. He was still in denial that that he was wrong. So wow, he was wrong. That's realization that Fulgrim just does not accept, even if it's like super obvious. And then Fulgrim was fully convinced that Horus was great and awesome, and he's gonna be the new leader of the Imperium, and all those things. And I'm like, oh, Fulgrim, come on, come on. I mean, anybody else in this situation that had a bit more like common sense, or any kind of not arrogance, and a bit more wisdom, just a bit, just a tiny bit, will realize that this is all very, first, it's very like weird chain of events, since he was in the lair, and since he had the sword, and he was so crazy and compelled to kill like a monster, and all those things that happened to him, and he just cannot connect two and two together. I mean, talking about intelligence here. Well, like I said, it's not about this practical intelligence, about the wisdom that's just different. Yeah. So, oh gosh. Okay. So then we get to this point where he is fighting with Ferris, and he's saying, I mean, he is first saying to Ferris, of course, oh brother, you have to come to our side because the Emperor is horrible and he's gonna become a god, and he's such a selfish prick, basically. And Ferris is getting furious, like he's supposed to get furious actually here. So I'm like, oh, Ferris, you're totally in your right to be furious in this situation, really, because yeah, if I was Ferris, I was also gonna be furious in this case, because I'm seeing this guy, my big brother with the white hair that looks like Lothar from Voltron, just a lot bigger, and he's saying ridiculous things to me. Absolute heresy. So yeah, of course that you would be very pissed off in this situation. So yeah, in this way, I was very worried that this is gonna be the point where Fulgrim actually is killing Ferris, but thankfully he saved his life. So that was also interesting and key moment, because once again, the good side of Fulgrim shined through, and he was able to resist the demon's influence and not kill his brother, but he was very close. So, the one thing that Fulgrim holds the dearest in his heart is exactly that pure connections, his brother and the Emperor, all of that, and that's why when he believed basically that he's betrayed by his father, by the influence of the Laer first, and then what Horus said, and basically that was like a confirmation almost for Fulgrim. Well, not exactly, not exactly. I mean that he was already loosened by his corruption, and then the last blow was just from Horus. Not that he had real doubt in the Emperor, at least not consciously. It was maybe subconscious, but not consciously just yet, not as far as I remember. And then when Horus told him what happened, and Fulgrim, I mean, what happened didn't happen, but what he thought of the Emperor, Fulgrim was so disappointed in this sorrow. So once again, a negative emotion, that he was open even more, and yeah, he fell under. He decided to betray his father. But the point is that he does hold dear those things, and that is also what unfortunately makes him vulnerable in this situation, because Chaos is able to use that against him. He's already very emotional, and when you hit him where it actually hurts, the one thing that he cares about, of course that's gonna be one thing to contribute to his downfall. I mean, just one of the things that contributes to his downfall, unfortunately. But it's also the thing that could have saved him, but it was once again too late. So first time he didn't kill Ferris. Ferris got pissed. Then we see the final battle, and Ferris does this amazing mistake, just horrible mistake. Vulcan and the other Jesus Christ, I can't believe that his name just flew out of my head. Damn it. I talked about him so many times. Just he flew. Okay, you know which Primarch Raven Guard I'm talking about. So yeah, they were like on the Vox. Don't go. Like, don't attack him now. We won. Don't pursue him. That's stupid. And Ferris is like, no. We have to go again. We have to just go and finish him now. We're winning. We're winning. And the other primars are like, no, don't do it. Let's regroup. And of course, um, Logar's Legion, um, the other trader legions. I mean, Logar's, uh, damn it. You're gonna tell me. Corax! Thank you. Corax. I was talking about Corax, Patrick. Yes, thank you. So yeah, the other legions that they thought that they were still loyal of Logar. Jesus Christ, what is happening? I had so many information. Thank you. I had everything perfectly laid out in my head, and now I just forgot the last. But anyway, you know which trade legions? I can't believe I just blocked out. I mean, I blanked out. Damn it. Well, anyway, Vulcan and Corax, they were the voices of reason. That was my point. And they still didn't know that the others are traitors. So they were still on point. Still good call for them to not pursue Fulgrim. But no. So this is now the fall of Ferris, and he's flawed that he is so direct and so passionate, and just he wants to attack. But of course that's not the best, and there's so many tactics in general that are meant to fake retreat, so the other army could follow and then be trapped. That is like the oldest trick in the book, basically. Not only because I watched a lot of Xena, and she, taught strategies, like a lot of battle strategies, especially when it comes to Caesar and how he fought and how he came with like super, just super awesome strategies, basically, how Xena had to counter that. So that's when I learned about a lot of battle strategies. But yeah, that's the other trick in the book. And but anyway, so so he went to face Fulgrim. They talk. They start fighting. It's pretty epic. How it's described, like when they hit each other, is like a huge blow that goes for 100 kilometers. I think it was literally like gods fighting. That was how it was described, because they're so strong. And their weapons are really special and strong, forged by themselves. And at the end, this is the very key. Now I really have to wrap it up, but because the end is also very, very substantial. So we reach this moment where Fulgrim has to kill Ferris now. And we see that he doesn't want to. And we see that he is having this conversation now with the demon. And Fulgrim is like, well, I don't actually want to kill my brother, because he's realizing what he's doing here, realizing the error of his ways. This wisdom finally comes to him. In this moment, everything comes together now, and he's like, oh my gosh, how can I be so foolish, and I betrayed my father. And that's so sad. So sad, because you see him like a train wreck. I mean, you see him like he's going, how he's a train and he's going to hit a wall, and then you see the devastation of the train wreck itself. But it was too late to this point, and the demon basically forces his hand and kills Ferris. So that's horrible. Next, when he realizes that he actually killed his brother, he's like, oh, I cannot live with myself, so please take my life. I want oblivion. And he once again doesn't realize that that creature that did so much wrong, I mean, obviously, like I've said, Fulgrim was open to his influence, so he allowed this to happen. Is that like the demon did all of it, because he just played out of Fulgrim's weaknesses, and Fulgrim allowed everything. You cannot, every evil needs to get in, but to get in, it needs to be let in. So the host, the person of interest, is the one that actually has the power the whole time, but he is completely like living himself to this creature. So he's like, oh yes, I want oblivion, and the demon is like, well, granted then. Like super, and takes over his body completely, and Fulgrim is left just in the corner of his soul. That's how it's described, corner of his soul. I remember that because the way that is worded doesn't make any sense. He cannot be in the corner of his soul. He is his soul, so he is in the corner of his mind somewhere. He is in his body, but he is trapped and isolated in the way that he cannot control his body, and the other entity is just fully in control, and he keeps him there locked so he can see all the atrocities that are gonna be committed by his body. So that is just absolutely horrible, and it's fate worse than death. At least in the warp, he could have been, I don't know what, but if he's conscious and he doesn't want to be influenced by the demons, he won't be. I don't know how he's gonna function there if he's just dead, but now he's not better off witnessing everything that's happening. And then we get more of that when this demon presents himself to Horus carrying the head of Ferrus Manus in his hand, which is horrible. And he openly admits to Horus that he is actually a demon of Slaanesh, and that Fulgrim is in the corner of his mind. He can see everything, he's completely weeping and horrified and just very, very sorry about everything. So Fulgrim is technically there and still kept alive in his body, trapped as a prisoner, literally, by this demon. But now, when we see Fulgrim, I haven't read, obviously, because I'm to this point, haven't read further along, but you guys have to tell me. But it seems that, at least from this book, if nothing has changed since then, when you see Fulgrim as a demon, it's just the demon that uses his body. So it's not Fulgrim at all. Even Horus, even the demon, they both are saying this. And Horus is like, well, okay, you can keep my brother for now, but then I'm gonna totally free him when this is all over. That's what Horus is thinking to himself without saying it out loud, that he's gonna totally free his brother. But that never happens because, as you know, Horus also eventually gets a demon into him, and that is what is getting a hold of him. But before I got to this book, nobody just made this distinction to me, and there was nowhere in all the sources and videos that I saw that was pointed out. And this is very major, that actually when somebody ascends to demonhood, at least, it's supposed to be the same in every way, if it's consistent. So if Fulgrim is a demon, that means that he is a demon, but he is not Fulgrim in the first place. He is literally possessed by this creature, and he's just prisoner in his own body. Now the other demons can just release the soul of the host and use their bodies, because he did say that he can do that, but he enjoys Fulgrim's company very much, and they do have conversations in his head, and that's super amusing to the demon. And he enjoys this sadistic, he's sadistic, and he enjoys Fulgrim's torture, just whatever that he is feeling to the 10th degree, and all of that. And we do have this, finally, this scene with the massacre in the theater, where they all listen to the music for the first time, this music that is already tainted by chaos, and the Legion transforms. I don't know if if it transforms right there. I have to check when exactly it transformed, but certainly some stuff did happen there in terms of transformations as far as I remember. Slaughter, disgusting, like it's so disgusting I had to stop it there when I was making my meal, especially that other stuff about the rotting corpses and Miss, I forgot her name, Studio, the crazy art lady. But yeah, this is very interesting parallel between how the humans take it, and there are called lesser vessels of the demons, but they are all people that are extremely pompous and pretentious and arrogant and all of those qualities that are necessary. I mean, flaws that are necessary for those people to be absolutely open to the influence and possession, obviously, of Slaaneshi demons. So you see just through people, through their characters, how those weaknesses of obsession and just not admitting to yourself what you actually are, not coming to terms with your flaws, that leads to a ton of deception and openness to a ton of deception, So basically a disbalance, that is a disbalance. And unfortunately, this guy Austian, he was the best. He was the best artist, awesome guy, but he got killed. He became the unfortunate victim of Fulgrim's ridiculous arrogance, basically, and already corruption, you can say. Serena D'Angelis and Beck Wakinska. Oh, I'm so happy that I remember at least how their names are pronounced and I can read them right. That is awesome. So yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, it was very sad about the obsession of Serena. Beck Wakinska was, horny, pretentious, and evil woman. So yeah, everything that, once again, is gonna make her perfect for Slaanesh. And so, guys, it is extremely fascinating story, and I'm sure that there's a lot more that could be dissected within it, even deeper things. But I think that on what we should take from the story, just a cautionary tale that no matter who you are, or if you're born from the emperor's ass, or whatever you are, you really have to stay objective to yourself and to know your strengths and your weaknesses, to work on your weaknesses, and just be aware of those things. Because if you're not aware, somebody else is gonna just come and take advantage of what you are not aware of. You have to be aware of yourself and what you can do, what cannot do, and just be fair with yourself and with others, because otherwise you're gonna commit really unfair, unjust things on others and on yourself too. That's the thing. Fulgrim was not honest with himself, and not just with himself as well. All that he had that was very pure was his love and admiration to the emperor. But this fixation, this excess, because that's really excess and fixation on perfection, which is not really attainable even by a Primarch, because they're not perfect. They're actually very flawed creatures. They're only perfect compared to humans, but only physically, and emotionally they're as immature as every other human. Basically, they're just functioning war biological machines to a very big extent. But actually that's a bit, when I talked about the Primarchs, my top 10 Primarchs, when I did that, I once again touched upon how immature they are, but that is very bad. To be a war machine, be immature, because they're making rash decisions based on emotion, not really based on wise tactics. Now, once again, he did had great tactics, but it's a bit contradictory, because he can do that. He can be tactical and very awesome to execute some even fighting skills and all of that. But when it comes to actual decisions that could determine the destiny of whole world, he's like, oh, Laer, what? Kill them all. I mean, that is like the whole problem of the Imperium and the Emperor's ways. But I mean, everything is connected, though, you know. Yeah, a lot of things. I just got tired, but that is what I really wanted to say. That it's just irony. Somebody that's so perfect is actually very unperfect, and that ultimately led to his downfall. Lack of objectivity and clear self-assessment, and now he's a lot wiser, obviously, because he is trapped and he can see everything, he can realize everything. So if actually somebody can release the demon, exorcise the demon from his body, he can still become Fulgrim and be awesome for the Imperium, because now he is a lot more wise. And I know that there are some fan theories about his potential return, but really he has to be cleaned, exercised from this demon, which I'm not sure how's gonna happen. 40k, if that's possible, but if it is, I mean, why not? Everything is possible, gosh. But that's gonna be very interesting, guys. As for the noise marines, I mean, what became of the Emperor's children? That's really crazy. At some points there was literal depiction of how they felt orgasmic pleasure from killing. I don't know how I'm supposed to imagine this. Is it literally supposed to say that they feel literal, or they're just feel like euphoria from what they're doing? I'm not really sure about that. Maybe somewhere else is explained better. Yeah, you tell me. Okay, guys. Okay, let's see what your guys are saying, and I really have to stop talking. Oh, Jake, okay, I just saw that you left, okay. I can't even read that. Farseer of the I forgot how that was read in the book. Damn it, one thing that I forgot. Utwe? The Utwe. I have to listen to how they pronounce that. Oh yeah, I know that he has a clone, but is it alive? How can the clone has the soul of Fulgrim? Did somebody like made a transfer with a ritual or something? That's I mean, I have no idea. You have to tell me, because who knows when I'm gonna get to the clone. A fragment of his soul. Who got the fragment from the real soul? How does that works? How can a fragment be sufficient and replace a whole soul? How can that happen? It just doesn't make any sense. Locked away by, oh Jesus, you mean locked away by a Necron? Okay. I have to see that story. Oh boy, I'm so sleepy. He live? That's the name of the Necron? Trazin? Well, it is complicated, obviously, but I just want some kind of a, making sense explanation. How can a fragment be sufficient for a whole soul? Then why do we have whole souls, If it's a fragment, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if you can take a soul and like split it into two, there's gonna be twins, let's say. 3 triplets, but just a fragment, like a little tiny particle, is gonna be what? Only just a fraction of Fulgrim's consciousness? I just cannot make sense of this at the moment. As a soul can grow yeah, in terms of its level of spirit, but what kind of, I mean, how that relates to being broken apart in pieces. Anyway, I'm gonna read the story, I guess. Just let me know how it's called. I'm gonna try to find, because obviously, obviously I have to check how that's happening. But guys, I have to go to bed. It's 11:30 here. Thank you very much for watching. It's almost New Year. Damn it. Yeah, tomorrow is the 30th. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, well, I'm gonna post in the chat, in the group, if I'm gonna stream tomorrow, probably. And you will see that. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown of Fulgrim. It was amazing, and I'm already like 2 or 3 hours in the next book, the last heretic, and I'm in this exact moment when the Emperor is humbling Logar, and Logar doesn't like it. So I'm exactly in this part now. Somehow it's not a very good explanation, but I'm gonna read it. Okay guys, so sleep well. Thank you very much for watching. If anyone likes to support me, the links are down below to my OnlyFans and of course Patreon, Streamlabs, member of the channel, all of those things. Until next time, with me, g.t.e.r.my.fitness reviews. Thank you very much, my g.t.e.r.my.fitness golden Astartes. Bye bye.